There's a woman named Sarah, 48 years old, who just hit $500,000 in her brokerage account. She's been grinding for 15 years. She did everything right. Maxed her 401k, cut unnecessary expenses, reinvested every bonus. And the moment her account crossed 500k, she felt it. A rush of relief that lasted exactly 3 hours, followed by a sinking anxiety that hasn't left since. Then there's Marcus. He's 50, and he also has $500,000 saved. But Marcus is already semi-retired. He's been living off that portfolio for 18 months, traveling twice a year, sleeping in on weekdays, and not thinking about money nearly as much as Sarah does. Both of them have the same number. Their lives couldn't be more different. And the line between them has nothing to do with luck, market timing, or investment returns. It's something most people never see coming. If you're someone who's hit a savings milestone but can't imagine actually leaving your job, this video changes that. Here's what most people believe. $500,000 is not enough to retire. The internet tells them they need $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. But this is a story we inherited from a different life. The story assumes you're retiring to a big house in the suburbs with the same spending habits you had while working. It assumes you never ask yourself what you actually need, only what you've been told you should want. The real problem isn't the money. It's that we design our lives backwards. We work at a job that pays well but demands everything. We fill our time with purchases that feel like freedom but cost freedom later. We accumulate obligations before we ever consider obligations to ourselves. 500K is not a math problem. It's a design problem. And here's the framework that changes everything. Every dollar you don't spend in retirement is a dollar you didn't have to save in the first place. This is what I call the lifestyle multiplier. For every $10,000 a year you choose not to need, you don't have to save an extra $250,000. That's not a small detail, that's the entire game. Let's talk the actual math first, because it matters, but not in the way you think it does. Take $500,000 to a financial advisor and ask what it can support. The traditional answer is the 4% rule. Withdraw 4% your first year, adjust for inflation after. That's $20,000 a year. But that rule was built for a 30-year retirement. If you're retiring at 50, you need this money to last 40, maybe 50 years. So most people who've actually done this choose a more conservative 3.5% withdrawal rate. That gives you $17,500 from your portfolio. Now add Social Security. The average person collects about $2,100 a month, roughly $25,000 a year. So your total annual income is about $42,500. That's $3,541 per month. Here's where it gets real. In most American towns outside the major metros, suburbs outside Columbus, Des Moines, Pittsburgh, places like that, $3,541 a month covers a decent one-bedroom apartment for around $1,100, a reliable used car and insurance for $400, utilities and groceries for $800, phone and internet for $100. You've got nearly $1,000 left for everything else. Medical expenses, entertainment, gifts, hobbies, travel fund. Is that tight? Yes. Is it miserable? Only if you've structured your entire identity around consumption. Now meet Jake. He's 46, earns a solid 6-figure salary, and projects hitting $500K in 4 years. He's already making a choice most people never make. He's visiting small towns in North Carolina and Tennessee right now, looking at neighborhoods, talking to people, imagining what his actual life would look like. He's got spreadsheets tracking property taxes, cost of living indices, and proximity to his adult children. He's not waiting until retirement to design his life. He's designing his life now and letting the number catch up to the plan. Here's what Jake figured out. The real multiplier isn't your savings rate or your stock market returns. It's the gap between what you earn and what you need to be happy. That gap is everything. Most people spend their entire working life expanding what they need. More house, nicer car, better restaurants, premium subscriptions. By the time they think about retirement, they're locked into a six-figure lifestyle on a five-figure budget. That's where retirement breaks. The math supports it. The 25X rule says you need 25 times your annual spending to retire safely. So if you need $42,500 a year, you need $1,062,500. But if you redesign your life so you need $35,000 a year instead, suddenly $875,000 is enough. You just erased $187,500 of earning and saving by asking better questions about what you actually want. That's not theoretical. That's the difference between retiring at 55 and retiring at 60. That's 5 more years of freedom. Here's the trap everyone falls into. They wait until the number is real to ask the hard questions about lifestyle. They hit $500,000 and then spend their first month in retirement discovering that they have no idea what retirement actually looks like. They panic. They second-guess everything. Some go back to work because uncertainty about money feels safer than uncertainty about identity. But there's something deeper happening. Most people aren't afraid $500,000 isn't enough. They're afraid it is enough, because that means they have no excuse left to stay. They have to actually leave. They have to actually build a life that doesn't revolve around their job title and salary. That's terrifying in a way that money problems are not. Money problems are external. Identity problems are internal, and they're much harder to solve. The sequence of returns risk is real. The first 3 years of your early retirement matter enormously. A market crash in year 1 hits different than a crash in year 5. But here's the shift. If you've designed your lifestyle intentionally, even a crash doesn't derail you. You're not dependent on perfect market returns. You're dependent on a reasonable plan and your own discipline. And that discipline is not about deprivation. It's about intention. It's about the difference between saying no to things you don't want and saying no to things you're afraid to want.
3 frameworks are actually working for people with $500K right now. The first is what I call the modest path. It's $3,541 a month, and it requires being intentional about location. Most successful people doing this move to lower cost of living areas before they pulled the trigger. Marcus did exactly this. He sold his townhouse outside Atlanta, moved to a smaller town in Tennessee with lower property taxes, and bought a modest home for cash. His mortgage disappeared. His property taxes dropped by 70%. Suddenly, his $42,500 a year felt abundant instead of tight. He wasn't deprived. He just lived somewhere his money had power. He travels twice a year now, has a small boat, and spends his Tuesday mornings at a coffee shop with the same 3 retired friends. The second framework is geographic arbitrage. It's what people call the digital nomad's cheat code. Your $500K in San Francisco is a slow financial panic. The same portfolio in Austin, Denver, or Boise gives you breathing room. And if you take it internationally to places where the dollar is strong, your timeline accelerates. You're not running away from America. You're choosing where your work-free money goes furthest. The third is flexible withdrawals. Instead of rigidly taking 3.5%, you adapt. In bad market years, when your portfolio drops 10%, you cut withdrawals to 3%. In good years, when your portfolio grows, you increase to 4%. You're treating the withdrawal rate as a range, not a number. This approach, dynamic spending instead of static, actually increases your success rate. It also gives you psychological permission to retire. You're not locked into a terrifying formula. You're responding to your actual situation. I've modeled retirement scenarios for people from Miami to Seattle. The ones who hit $500K and actually retire, every single one of them designed their lifestyle first. Not perfectly, not with complete certainty, but intentionally. They asked themselves, what do I actually need to be happy? Not what society says, not what my family expects. What do I actually need? Sarah's still working. Not because $500,000 isn't enough, not because the math doesn't work. She's still working because she hasn't decided who she wants to be without work. She hasn't imagined her actual life. She's waiting for some internal permission that the number will never give her. The goalpost keeps moving. It was $1 million, now it's $2 million, it'll be $3 million next year. That's not a number problem. That's an identity problem. Marcus is not thinking about money this week. He's planning a hiking trip with friends. He's sleeping until 7 on a Tuesday. He's doing consulting work 1 month a year when he feels like it, not because he needs to, but because he actually enjoys it on his own terms. His life didn't become possible when his account hit $500K. His life became possible when he answered a question most people never ask. What do I actually want? Not what will impress people, not what's expected. What do I actually want to do with my one precious life? Here's the truth nobody tells you. Retirement is not a number you hit. Retirement is a life you design. Your $500,000 is waiting. It's real. It's possible. The question isn't whether it's enough. The question is whether you're ready to live on purpose instead of on autopilot. In the comment section below, I want you to write down 2 numbers. First, the target number you think you need to retire. Second, the annual spending that would actually make you feel free. The gap between those numbers is your lifestyle multiplier. That gap is everything. That's the work that matters.